How did you get global presence? Oh, we were in like -1 crore. So I was called Hagrid from Harry Potter when I used to comb my hair. I was putting out a lot of fires and they could like smell something fishy for sure. They don't even fall for sustainability anymore. They think that's a joke. That was my first ever like WhatsApp rejection and I was like, WhatsApp rejection? Yeah. The moment I stopped, it happened.
What is the biggest red flag you see in an investor?
When an investor says something like, so you straighten hair, and it'll be a bald man. I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Found Hers podcast. From being in an accident to reaching Forbes 30 under 30, the guest for today is here not only to share her story, but some insights into the personal care and hair care industry. With me, I have Anshita Malhotra, the founder of Fix My Curls. Hi Anshita, how are you doing today?
Hi Heenal, I'm good. Thank you for having me. This is such a crazy intro. No one has ever introduced me like this.
Yeah, because I went and I saw your full story and I'm like, that's actually a crazy jump in what, 5 years?
Yeah, it's been 5 years now. It feels crazy to say that, but when you said accident to 30 under 30, I was like, wow, there is a lot to unpack there.
Yes, and that's what we're going to get into. But before I get into any detail, Forbes 30 under 30, how did that feel?
Kind of crazy, and I feel like when they tell you at first, they say, it's confidential, you can't tell anyone, please don't speak about this. Max, tell your parents. I think the hardest thing was not telling my team, because they were talking about, oh, like the list is gone, did you apply? And I'm just like, and there's a funny story behind that because I didn't apply.
Oh.
So technically I wasn't lying. I was like, no, I didn't apply. But then I also was feeling very smug deep down because I was like, I don't know what to tell you. But then closer to it, when I went for the shoot, I remember I lied to everyone in like that day. And I was so excited and like a lot of shit was going down. So I was putting out a lot of fires. And at the same time, I was at the Network 18 office about to shoot for the spread. And like they kept asking me like, where are you? Like, you need to put this fire out. And I'm like, how do I tell you? I'm doing like one of the most important things in my career till now. And I can't tell you guys about it.
Yeah.
And they could like smell something fishy for sure. Because then when I called them in my office, the day it came out, I was like, I have to tell you guys something. And if you saw like the reaction video, I called them one by one. And honestly, once I told them, it sunk in and it was surreal.
Amazing. You said you didn't apply, so I'm guessing you got picked. So how was that? Like, how do you really get selected for something like this?
So it was simmering for like 4 years. And then, I mean, I had been in touch with one of the editors for a very different story. Also, it's sometimes the case that someone else nominates you, which was the case for me. And he's like, but don't expect anything. If I call you back in 10 days, you've got it. So of course, he called me back in 10 days and I cried a little bit, but I was mostly in shock because they kept saying confidential. So I was like, okay, don't get excited about it. Then I think when the shoot happened also, I was like, I think the imposter syndrome creeped in and I was like, maybe they won't like my pictures. Maybe they won't pick me. They'll take me out of the list. Until the day the article came out, I truly did not believe it.
Wow.
Genuinely. And then when I saw it in print, I was like, okay, this is real. It's happened. It's done now. I can rest.
That's when I think you can share the excitement with everyone.
But truly the process is very hidden, very behind closed doors. They don't tell you anything about who else is in the list with you. You'll meet a few people on the day of the shoot, but that's basically it because they're from around India. So you genuinely don't know anything about the list till the day it comes out.
But that's a good thing, right? That it's genuine, it's actually authenticated.
100%. And look, I don't know about other people, but one thing I do know is like I know you cannot pay to get into this specific list. They're they're a little crazy about it. Like how confidential it is and the fact that it is not confirmed. It is not confirmed. So I was like, okay.
Till the date it's out, it's not confirmed.
Okay guys, it's not confirmed.
What you said, it's been a dream for me as well to be Forbes 30 under 30 and the imposter syndrome 100% kicks in. Going to your story of starting a curly brand, let me tell you a little bit about me. Right now my hair looks much better, but back in school I had really wavy frizzy hair. So I was called Hagrid from Harry Potter when I used to comb my hair. That time Bhul Bhulaiya had come, so Monjulika was another very common word used to, describe me and my hair. And I used to hate my hair. I was like, when I turned 20, because that was the age my mom allowed me to straighten my hair, I would just do keratin, straightening, smoothing.
Yeah.
Because back in like 2015, I was just studying some stats about this industry. 90% of the sales were for Pantene and L'Oreal and Tresemme, who were selling silky, perfect hair. You know, I open my rubber band and whoo, my hair's flying and it's perfect.
Yeah.
That never happened to me. I would take 10 minutes before even a picture. So how has the shift been? Because now we're seeing at least 40% of this market catering to new age businesses. So how has this shift been? What you have experienced in your journey?
I mean, look, I'm definitely an early adopter.
Yeah.
I came in early. The leave-in industry, that helps with frizz and like all these serums and leave-in products, leave-in conditioners that you put in your hair. The search volume for them is growing year on year now. I came in 5 years ago when, I mean, I straight entered a niche. I didn't even go into serums. I went into curl creams, which was even more specific. And I have to say, most people, like, I think the stat today is that like 45% of women consumers in India don't know what their hair type is. Which means that they don't have straight hair. Because the reason they're confused is because they have so much frizz that sometimes their hair acts wavy. Sometimes it can act straight, but they don't know which to pick or what to solve for. That is a huge number of women in this country, right? And that is obviously a pretty brand new statistic. Like, this statistic didn't exist a few years ago. When I started, nobody wanted to talk data. Today they want to talk data because now we're making money in this industry and there's enough of us that it feels like, we should know more about this industry because we can make some real money here. All I knew was 60% of the global population does not have straight hair. They have some other hair type. That was a big enough number for me to jump in and be like, you know what? Kuch to hoga, something is big is going to happen here, because 60%, that's a ridiculous number of not straight hair. That means everything but straight hair. So that means all these people have just been straightening, using keratin, etc., because they don't feel like there's another option ever. But I think the point even today isn't to like ban straightening or anything. Like, we just want to help you embrace your hair where you're at. Instead of telling you to break it or burn it or change it completely. We're like, we're here for you however it looks, and you should feel comfortable in that.
Nice. How did you pitch yourself to VC so early?
Initially, in 2021, my parents were seeking funding for their business, so my mom's skincare business. And when she was seeking funding, a lot of people would ask about, like, Fix My Curls, because we shared a name like Fix Derma, Fix My Curls. So they would be like, ye to aapka hi hai, right? And then my mom would explain, no, it's a separate company. My daughter's company is different. These are her products. And I think at the time, I started opening myself up to the idea of potentially raising funds. I was really scared about it. But then come 2022 January, I pitched to the first few people. I even had like a super shitty experience where we went through like 4 rounds of conversations. I gave up all my data. I was an idiot. I didn't even sign an NDA. And then they said, sorry, we'd like to take a step back. This isn't the right time for us. That was my first ever like WhatsApp rejection. And I was like,
WhatsApp rejection?
Yeah.
I thought we at least be face to face.
Nope. And I was just like, theek hai, sara data le liya hai. What do I do? Like, and I was a noob then, honestly. And then I spoke to my parents about it, and they were like, look, now sign NDAs. Do it very professionally, do it over emails. So initially, I remember their consultant who helped them raise was helping me. But then like a few months into it, he was like, nahi ho raha hai. Everybody is rejecting you. Nobody believes in the industry. And it's okay, because he was having a hard time. So I was like, let it be. If people come to me, I'll do the pitch and I'll let you know, like, in case. But like, I was also starting to sort of lose hope. I think almost 35-40 pitches in by September 2022. I had been pitching for 8 months. I was really tired. I was like, okay, I think maybe it's not going to happen for me this year.
It takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, willpower, all of it. And
every ounce of energy, right?
Yeah, because every time you pitch, you're telling the whole story. You have to be passionate. They want you to be the best founder in front of them. You can't have an off day when you're pitching to them, right? They want to feel like this person is going to run this for a decade and they're going to give us 100x returns. Can't wait, you know? And if they don't feel that way about you, I mean,
they're not going to want to.
No, they're anyway not going to want to, right? So I think I had to be on for like 8-9 months. And then what's funny is the moment I stopped, it happened. Yeah.
Wow.
Moment
This
I
is the
stopped.
second thing for you. With even Forbes, when the minute you stopped, it happened. And
I think it's just like when you're very desperate,
yeah.
it doesn't come to you as fast as you want because you're so desperately begging.
Yeah.
But the minute you sit down, you're like, you know what? I think I'm fine without this. Koi baat nahi. Perhaps it's not meant to be right now. And I'm at peace with that. And that's when one of our current investors reached out through the grapevine. And yeah, the conversation started. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much bigger than I expected. Because obviously we have Amazon Samba Fund on our cap table. I never expected that they would even want anything to do with us. But, you know, they came. So
I think it's the products, right? Like the community, the products. I think what customers say about your brand holds so much value in so many different aspects of your business. A little bit about this whole getting funding, right? We have a lot of early stage women out there who are also in their journey in the beauty personal care space right now. What were the changes, or how was it after you got your funding? Was there like a ticker on you that, okay, cool, now I need to like
grow.
I need to grow in the right way to what I sold them in the meeting, I need to get them back.
I mean, वो अभी मेरे सर पे है.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No. Yes, there is a ticker. You do sign up for extremely fast growth, lots of pressure.
Yeah.
You will have these board meetings every quarter. You will be discussing some really, really big goals. And obviously, every round you want to raise is dependent on what you do with the money you've first raised. And like right now, I'm in that process. Like this year, obviously, I'm going to start thinking about, oh, what's next? You know, what have we done this past year with the money that we got? And for all the early stage founders out there, you are going to be under a lot of pressure. It's going to feel like there's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
And you should use that time bomb as motivation to do better. Don't be scared because of it. This is the only time in your life that someone's going to push you to build your dream. I mean, that's crazy. Someone is pushing you to build your dream. Do it now. I mean, and you don't want to be coddled or babied, right?
Yeah.
You want someone to like force you, yell at you and be like, do it, build it, don't be lazy, this is the time. And I think that's what they do, and I'm very grateful for it because there are so many days where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to, I'm not a founder. Like, you know, I'm like, I want to go back to sleep. But then I remember, I'm like, no, this isn't just about me. So get up and go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the approach that you have because you take it more like they're motivating you to reach your own goals. So just instead of looking at it as a timer.
When in life will you have that? I mean, because they're also not annoying about it, right? They show you really big dreams that maybe you don't even see for yourself.
Right.
They will make you feel like this is 1,000 crore business. When in your head, you're like, 50 kar lenge to bahut acha hai. Bahut kaam kar liya. But they're like, no.
Don't stop there. There's a lot
this
more.
50 is building for the 100, which is the 500, which is the 1,000. That is how you should be seeing it.
Nice.
And had they not come in and shown me those dreams, I think I wouldn't have dared to dream them myself.
Can you share any instance, maybe what has been a failure that has turned into one of the greatest learnings for you?
So in 2022, when finally one of our investors came around, they were interested in us. We started like the due diligence and all of the serious stuff was happening. I was like, wow, I'm raising money. Amazing. I've done it. But we were in pretty deep losses. Same 2022, I launched a brand ambassador. It was a complete flop. I made a huge blunder. We made a TVC for a brand that is on Instagram. I didn't even think. I put in about 50 lakhs into that project. All 50 lakhs gone. Spent another 10 on performance marketing, all 10 gone. And this is at that time, we were doing maybe 50, 60 lakhs in revenue a month, right? So at 50 lakhs revenue, you're doing a 50 lakh project and then you're losing more money on top of that. So that's when it started. And then the losses became greater. By the end of that financial year, we were in like -1 crore, which was like a big dent. And of course, no investor likes that. And they pointed it out and then they backed off for a bit. And I was very heartbroken, but I was like, you know what, this is good because this is going to push me to like float the boat myself. And at that time, my mom had been my angel investor for years. She also said, fix this. I'm not giving you more money. I was like, fair enough. I've pretty much lost a lot of it. It's time now for me to like put my big girl pants on and like get it going. Everything I'd learned, I put into work then, but that was probably the worst year for us because I had a very close competitor also launch their brand ambassador, and it was a hit. And they took so much share of our revenue. D2C was failing for me. All campaigns were flopping for us. We had this horrible agency. My head of marketing at the time, she quit. It was the worst, like 7 months. I was like, my God, I'm the worst founder alive. But, I think you have to be the worst founder to be a good one later. And yeah, just had to get everything going after that. But lots of failures. Like this one time, I'll tell you again, we had 14,000 tubes come wrongly printed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that was our entire stock for the month. So then we were out of stock for 1 month because I had to get them crushed and get them remade. And it was because a random black line appeared across the tube. And the vendor was like, I don't know how it happened. And I was like, but the print file we sent was correct.
Yeah.
So somehow he took responsibility and we split the cost, but we lost 1 month of revenue because of that. So these things happen. Lots of stuff happens.
Yeah. I think it's just about having a more learning-oriented mindset towards it, right? Because I
think I had a horrible mindset back then, let me tell you, because I would sit in my room and sob and then call my friends and be like, what am I doing? And they would be like, look, we don't run businesses, so like, what do we tell you? And then I would just, I don't know, somehow find the motivation. And it would be often because of customers, because they'd be like, oh, love your product. And every good customer makes you feel like
you're doing something right.
I'm doing something right, right? So I'll go back to work and figure it out.
From my experience, whenever I see anybody with a product-based business, their mind goes towards ads. How has performance marketing helped you grow your business? And in the beauty and personal care industry that we are in currently, right? What is really the truth of performance? Does that really work in the initial stages?
I think back then, performance wasn't quote unquote like a thing.
Yeah.
It became a thing in 2021 is what I'm going to say, is when it really started that you should be running both Google and Meta campaigns.
Yes.
You should have a good mix of static and video. And still then, it wasn't necessarily like that you should be running Reels, because Reels hadn't come in at that point.
Yeah.
So we had IGTV and we had stories and you could boost your posts. So I would boost basically every single post that was good enough or looked visually good enough, we'd boost that and plug in a product. So initially that's how we did performance. Now, fast forward to the performance marketing landscape today is ridiculous. It's insane.
Yeah.
You become so dependent on Meta if you feel that you need to be dependent on Meta. And honestly, we all feel that way today. If you're not dependent on Meta, then you're dependent some way on Google. If not on Google, then you're dependent on your community on Instagram. But in some way or the other, if you're a D2C brand, you're new gen, you will be dependent on either one of these, and you have to be running some type of ads today. And you don't need to have ads that are converting. Okay, today ads are there for a very different reason. Campaigns are running just so people know you exist, the brand is there. You're doing the subliminal branding at all times. So, I mean, I'm sure this has happened to you, but you must have viewed one reel or one video from a brand, an ad, right? And you just skip over it when it comes in your stories, right? And then maybe you see it someday when you're scrolling through Reels. Then you see it someday on Google or like some other website. This happens so often that subliminally, now you're thinking about the brand. And when you see it in stores, you're like, oh, I know this brand. I've seen this. I've seen the founder. Just like this, you end up converting. But imagine how many times you've seen that ad. So, see, the thing is, in a way, performance marketing is extremely important. But I will say that today, it's an exercise that will drain you of a lot of money if you become dependent on it. And ROAS, oh God, like the ROAS game keeps changing. Every 6 months, there's a new reason why your campaigns are failing. Why you need to replace the whole set. Why you need new faces. It's not about a really fancy hook in the beginning. You need to have a celebrity face. If it's not a celebrity face, it's just something or the other that you need to have somebody like with a bucket of water on them to get people to stop and watch it. And then it's about the product. It's like whiplash. And people love whiplash today because they want to be shocked. And now I don't know how that's going to change in the next 6 months, because last year it was founder and performance was so heavily like dependent on founder ads. And nothing else was working. Influencers were failing for us. This year, influencers are doing really well for us. So now I don't know what's going to be next.
I like what you mentioned about how you approach performance as a brand awareness tool, because many founders
Yeah.
look at it as a conversion tool, and that's when ROAS and ROI
Yeah,
play
yeah.
a role, and then it's like, shit, I have burnt my money too quick. And even the frequency of ads, I know what you're saying, because when I serve my clients and when they come to me saying, okay, give me an ad creative, I'm going to run this for 6 months. Great. In 4 months, change this. It's not working. And I'm like, okay, like, what are you really looking at? Like, how are you looking at performance? And many founders mistake starting a beauty and personal care brand as, I will have an Instagram, I will create good content, and I will boost it and I will get sales. And I don't think that's the way.
You need to be marketing from 10 different places.
Right.
Like, you need to be marketing from an influencer's account. You need to have them connected to your ad account. You need to have separate campaigns on your own ad account. Then you need to have yourself on marketplaces, separately running ads, separately having banners, doing visibility. I mean, then you need to do giveaways, collaborations. Like, at all times, your brand needs to be in 10 different places so that the consumer sees you so many times that, again, subconsciously, when they're going to bed at night, they've seen you 10 times that day.
And then they have you on your mind.
Yeah. And then one day, when some Prime Day sale is happening or whatever, Nike's Hot Pink sale is happening, and you pop up and there's 15% off, they're like, okay, I know enough.
Nice. Tell me a little bit about consumers, right? How has the consumer behavior changed in terms, like you said, you're seeing a different landscape of consumers in the industry that you're in? One thing that I see being very prominently put out is clean beauty, sulfate-free. All this was great, say, 2-3 years back. That time I would fall for it. Now every second person is saying it. So the truth of clean products, sustainable products is becoming, that line is becoming blur and blur as we speak. So what are customers really falling for? And what is it working for them to buy products?
No, so I think that consumers are purchasing for efficacy and they're buying products that genuinely work, even though sometimes saying that something is silicone or sulfate free, and it will be, can work and make you feel like, okay, I'm buying something that's clean and maybe better for my hair in the long run or better for my skin in the long run. But today, what's better for you truly just depends on you as a singular consumer. And because we have so many options out there, that I think people aren't necessarily falling for fads or gimmicks anymore. And also, being sustainable can mean 10 different things. You can be sustainable in 10 different ways. It's levels of sustainability, but I don't know any brand that is 100% sustainable, even if they're claiming to be. It's false, because in some part of the process, you are wasting. And you don't want to talk about it, but there is some part and you're playing a part in it, and so do we, which is why we would never claim something like that. But yeah, there are brands fooling customers also, but I think those same customers, once fooled, twice, they wouldn't let it happen to themselves. If the product works, they'll use it again. But I think consumers are very, very smart, and they're now moving towards becoming people who do their own research. So I think, like you said, right, 2-3 years ago, these scams maybe were working, and I won't even call them scams.
It's claims.
These
it's like tall claims. Right?
These tall claims worked 2-3 years ago, but today, I don't think you can fool a customer. Customers,
they don't even fall for sustainability anymore. They think that's a joke now.
No, and and I've asked so many customers myself, and we did a focus group like a month ago, and we asked them a lot of things because we were just picking their brains. One of the things we did ask them was, how much do you really care about whether the brand is sustainable? They were like, not really. Like, we're not really looking into it. We don't even really know what that means.
Exactly.
And I was like, I understand that now. So I think sustainability at the moment is probably much, much, much bigger in the US, but a very small percentage of the consumers in our country will really look into what that means and if it's true for the brand. But what they will look into is if the product works and does what it's saying it should do.
I think what I'm understanding is that customers are focused on the results and how transparently you're able to show the result through your product. And that's how I guess every beauty brand has created their own
100%.
Space. A question out here, just in these 3 aspects is price, quality, and brand reputation. If I were to just rank this for a consumer in the beauty space, what would rank 1, 2, 3 be when they're making a purchase?
I think brand reputation comes first, then price, then quality. I know maybe that sounds shocking.
It means because price, but I think it makes sense, right? Like, Indian consumers are price conscious, so that is a very, very important aspect.
No matter what they say, they are price sensitive. I think they're still in that place in their consumer journey where abhi quality hasn't come to the forefront because they're just excited. There's 100 brands to try.
Yeah.
There's 100 sunscreens to try. You're not really looking at quality. You're looking at who's the brand ambassador, who is repping this brand, how many reviews do they have, and then how expensive are they before you check out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
quality will come into play once they've already tried 10 different brands. Maybe a few years later, they'll be like, yeah, I only use this sunscreen because it has this in it. Because they'll become that educated. But in the beginning of your journey, you don't think about all this. You're like, ooh, Katrina Kaif reps this brand. Amazing. She's like, she uses the sunscreen. I should use the sunscreen. And then it's, oh, they're 20% off. Great. Buy one, get one. I think.
Celebrities still work, or now influencers are also working? Because see, we have celebrity coming in front. You found the first coming in front, and you are now becoming a salesperson for your own brand. And then you have influencers.
Yeah.
So what's working? All three?
I think founders and employees now work. Actually, employees I'm adding because employee-generated content is huge and it's working so well in the US. It's trickling down to India. We do so much EGC. It's called EGC now.
Wow.
Yeah, so
EGC.
User-generated content, employee-generated content, and of course, founder content. These three work the best. I think influencers still work, but really, really, really large faces will work for large brands. But smaller brands don't need large faces to make an impact. You can have a micro influencer do an amazing job for you and spread the word because they'll have 500 people who genuinely follow them because they know them and will trust what they say. Versus a 1 million follower count, usme se how many people are following for what reasons you don't know. And you can't track. But you still have to pay like 20 lakhs for a reel, right? But you don't want to pay that as a small brand. You can't afford to. And then when it comes to celebrities, I think they did work before. But I am going to say you need to do TVC, you need to do billboards. And if as a small D2C brand, we don't have the kind of money for this stuff. So I think celebrities come once you've hit 100 crores. And I've discussed this with so many VCs, so many founder friends. We all agree that celebrities ka time abhi nahi hai. And there are so few faces that are in like category A faces that would actually convert. But because I see people pulling, like, they're really like taking out all of the money that they have for these influencers, but I really feel that the micro ones are doing just as good a job.
Yeah. Because then there's this whole thing bubble that came around that influencers don't really help with sales, and then when influencers started speaking about it, that we are not your salespeople, that entire disconnect came through, and then you saw UGC and now that you said EGC content coming in and consumer content, right? So I think it's about just building that in.
And your employees should be your consumers. If they don't like your product, what are you selling?
Yeah, if you can sell it to them, you can.
If I can sell it to my employees, and they're my harshest critics.
Nice. Can you tell me a little about these marketplaces in your journey, or at least let's talk about the last 6 months, right? Because the industry is changing so quickly. Let's talk about the last 6 months. How has e-commerce been for you? Is that been a good enough revenue stream, especially with Tira also coming in and taking up so much of the beauty care space? Like Tira and Nykaa are literally running it right now. So how has it been kind of being placed there versus having sales from your own website? Obviously, website is more profitable. We know that. But
questionable.
Okay.
Sometimes website is not more profitable. See, the thing is, you will never be able to compete with a giant, right? Whether it's Amazon, Nykaa, Tira, now Blinkit, Zepto. How do you compete with being available in 10 minutes? You tell me. So like, we don't compete anymore. When we create an ad, we create it with this in our mind that literally our end screen has 16 marketplaces on it. So that the user knows when they watch till the end of the ad, oh, this brand is available in all of these places. They're not pushing me to buy from the website. Literally, our website has just become a place where we collect your data and keep you there. And then we keep you informed.
Okay.
But we love marketplaces as a brand. Like, I know how hard it is to get 1 lakh people, 2 lakh people to visit your website. Kitna kaam jata hai usme. But marketplaces have lakhs of people flooding in every day. You can never beat that. And also, if you work well with the marketplace, they'll work well for you. Like, it's just a tit for tat kind of a relationship. And Today, what's changed the most in the last 6 months hasn't been Tira or Nykaa for us. It's been quick commerce. Quick commerce is insane. I mean, the quick commerce graph is this. And it's like this for every other founder I know. We are all struggling to keep up with how well quick commerce is doing, how you need to be on all of them. Like, we are on Blinkit Pan India now, Zepto Pan India now, but we struggle so much with supply chain and ops. And I think as smaller brands, you don't realize that once you're available in 10 minutes, that solves half the problem. The consumer's problem only is delivery time. It puts them off. That, do I need to pay 100 rupees for express delivery? No, I don't want to. But when it's coming with your groceries in 10 minutes, why would you not buy it? And I don't know how or what is going to happen in quick commerce in the next 6 months. But all I do know is that it's definitely changed how I see consumer behavior. Because I mean, it's crazy. Like 35% of our revenue is now quick commerce.
Wow.
And that's changed in the last 6 months. It used to be 5% in the first 3 months of last year. Now it's 35% as of March. And I have no idea what the hell quick commerce is going to do. And it's crazy.
Quick commerce is picking up like crazy. And I'm that person. I will realize my shampoos over.
Do you get your beauty on quick commerce?
Yeah, of course. I have picked up the ice roller. I did not need it. I just saw an ad of Gub. I was like, wow, so cool. It's coming in 5 minutes. I'm ordering some chips for office. I literally ordered it to office.
Well.
Yeah, might as well just order it to office. Going into a little bit of scaling, you're present at about 15 countries. Did I get that?
15.
Approximately 15 countries. How did you get global presence? Because currently, what I'm seeing in the D2C space, when they started, it was all like, no, make in India, great. Now, I want to get into retail. I want to be global. Or scaling up becomes, let's get global. Let's get offline. Let me open a store. Or let me just go ahead and sell this to a bigger giant.
It's too much. You can't do everything. You have to choose. If you choose everything, you're choosing nothing at the same time. I have done this and made this mistake, and I've seen so many other founders make this mistake where they think they want to be everywhere all at once, and then you lose all of your money and it's gone like this. No one is giving it back to you. So honestly, being global just happened for us because, I mean, honestly, it happened through DMs. A lot of people in the curly hair space globally also will have salons of their own, and these are individually owned salons with women founders that are working very hard at it, or starting their own online businesses with like curly hair starter kits. And the story is the same across the world, right? Except maybe the US, which is where we haven't penetrated as much as we could because it's the hardest, because there's a lot of competition there for curls also. But outside the US, for example, in Europe and Germany, we have an amazing distributor. She just tried samples of our products. She DM'd us. We sent her the products for free. She tried them. She was like, okay, placing an order. And once that cycle starts, it's just about building trust. And she trusted us off the bat, off a Google Meets call. Like, people like that are the ones that help you build, and she's helped us build. In Germany, like, so many people know Fix My Curls, and it shocks me because I never thought we'd sell in Germany out of all places. So we do really well in Malaysia as well. We've been in Malaysia for 4 years now, Nepal for 4 years now. We do really, really well in Nepal as well. Switzerland and Romania are the next 2 countries we feel are going to be big for us this year. And then the rest are very small right now, so I won't speak on them too much. But we started with those distributors and there's hope. But we've met all our distributors on DMs or emails, emailed them and just said, please let us send you free products. We don't want anything in return. We don't need an order. Just try. Then let us know what you
Sampling,
feel.
Right?
That's it. Lots of sampling. And I literally have a budget for my exports manager. Like, every month, 60,000 rupees worth of samples must go out internationally.
Wow.
And they convert.
Sampling works in the industry, right?
Yeah. In any industry across the world. Sampling is go-to.
Great. Thank you. I think it was really interesting to hear your story. Like I said, I was just in the flow of the whole conversation.
So
thank you for that. But we're going to end with a quick rapid fire round. Just quick one word, one sentence answers.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. If you could steal the hair of any one celebrity, who would it be?
Zendaya.
Okay. What is your hair care ick?
Hair care ick? When someone uses like a cotton towel and just does this like really quickly and says, I've done my hair. I'm like, no, that's not how.
Okay. If your entrepreneurial journey had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my God, this is so hard. But like, what's that one Natasha Bedingfield song? I don't know. Feel the rain on your skin.
Yeah.
That one, maybe? Yeah.
Okay. What is one Indian hair care secret that actually works?
Ooh, I think braiding your hair before going to bed because it does reduce breakage. It's a great one.
Okay. What's one guilty pleasure you need when you take a break from work?
Just watching like really trashy reality TV that's like fully scripted, but I love it.
Nice.
Love is blind.
Love is blind.
Yeah.
Interesting. What is the biggest red flag you see in an investor?
Oh my God, they're gonna kill me with this, huh? When an investor says something like, so you straighten hair. I'm like, did you even bother seeing the website? Like, what are we doing on this call? And it'll be a bald man. That's the red flag.
Good one. Last, I think just a last thing, because obviously we both are women here in this space. What is your piece of advice to every woman out there building a business in this industry?
I'm gonna say have an inner circle. It's super important. And I think I thought I have to do this alone for a really long time. But a few years into it, I realized that there are good people out there. There are people working as hard as you, as ambitious as you, and you're going to need them in your corner. And that will become your inner circle. And it shouldn't all be people who are like also entrepreneurs or founders, but have those people that you can call and cry to and tell them confidential stuff and be like, this is going so badly. But they're also the same people, even if it's just one person.
Yeah.
Have some type of inner circle where you can be whoever you want to be. Because I know how hard it is for all female founders to have to put up a front, be super professional and super on and never say the wrong thing and don't wear those clothes and don't hang out with that person because it looks like this.
Yeah.
And because the bigger you get, the more people are watching you and judging you.
Yeah.
I think you should have an inner circle that knows you for exactly who you want to be.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for this. I think this was a very interesting episode. Just a quick takeaway from everything that I heard from your journey was, if you have a good product, trust it, because your customers, your employees, they're going to be your users, right? The people who are going to use your product are going to help you go there. I think you've built this brand primarily on the trust of customers and that support, that community support that happens so organically.
Yeah.
Really can help you reach where you want to be. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that was my biggest takeaway.
I'm
Thank you
glad.
so much for doing this. I hope you
so
had fun.
much. Of course.
And thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. I hope you had a lot of takeaways. Please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.